Hello and welcome to the third video in our series on smart objects. In this video, we're going to talk about integrating smart objects into your Infopath forms. Smart object integration with Infopath is done through the use of data connections. A data connection is a link between the Infopath form and an external data source. A data source is a collection of fields that define and store data for this form. You can then add controls to the form that are bound to the fields in the data source and display the data to users who are able to interact with it. Infopath forms can have one primary data connection called main and optionally have one or more secondary data connections, such as the data connections to smart objects. So, how does this happen? Well, it can happen in a couple of different ways. Today I will show you two of them for today's video. The first is through Infopath Integration Wizard we use inside the designers. The last page of the wizard allows you to integrate smart object data into the form template. This can be useful, for instance, if a process needs to display data from a back-end system and use it to populate lists or checkboxes. Another common example could be for writing out comments from the Infopath form to a SmartBox smart object. These comments could then be shown in all the forms throughout the process. When integrating with Infopath, smart object methods are added individually to the form and appear in the form template as additional data connections. Smart object data is not automatically added to Infopath views. Users must design the form template to display smart object data after the appropriate methods have been integrated. So let's show you how this will work. Let's start off with the Infopath Integration Wizard available inside your designer. I won't go into too much detail about the various options in this wizard itself, other than the parts that pertain to integrating with smart objects. This wizard in particular will be covered in future videos. What this wizard is basically doing is allowing you to specify a particular Infopath form and also specifying where you wish to publish it so that it can be used inside of a K2 process. You'll see that it's specifying at this point a particular document library to publish it to. At this next step, we see our smart object integration. I simply click Add, and you'll see a very familiar screen if you had seen the previous videos. This will allow me to browse through my objects and select the specific smart object that I wish to integrate with, drill in further, and select the particular method that I wish to integrate into this Infopath form. In this case, it was getAssetList. After I select OK, I can add additional methods if I so desire, or just click Next and continue on in the wizard. Once I specify other options available to me in this particular Infopath form for my process, such as whether or not this form kicks off a process, what the default view is, where the workflow server is that it will be integrated with, as well as what the web service is, my wizard is complete. In this next way to integrate with smart objects, I can use the Integrate with Smart Objects right-click option on the Infopath form to hit the same screen as you saw before, the Smart Object Integration screen. That will allow me to browse through my various objects in the Smart Object server, as well as the individual methods available inside of each smart object. In this case, once again, is getAssetList. As I click Add, I can once again, as before, select additional methods available to me and have those be integrated into Infopath as well. In this case, I'm not going to be adding additional, as this is just trying to get you an idea of how this works. I have now integrated my smart object. Now that you've seen two ways to integrate with smart objects, let's take a look at the resulting Infopath form. As I go to my data source, I will see the main data source as well as the getAssetLists we just integrated. I will browse through the data fields that are associated with this smart object and take a look at the different return properties. There they all are. So let's use this smart object to populate our drop-down list. To do so, select the drop-down list properties and now select Lookup Values from an external data source. My getAssetList is already there. Now I need to select the individual return property that I wish to display in this drop-down list. In my case, I want that to be hostname, as that will be a critical field in my change management process. As we find the hostname, we select it and click OK. Now Infopath knows where to get that information from to populate the drop-down list. However, we need to tell Infopath to issue that query, and we do so by creating a new rule. So go to Tools, Form Options, and in this page you will see a Rules tab. Simply select it, add an action that will issue the query, and in this case we'll do query using a data connection. My list is already there, so I can select OK. Now Infopath knows that whenever this form opens, to issue that data query, which will populate the drop-down list. However, in the real world, what I would want to do is set additional criteria before Infopath made that query, such as a specific view or a person's role, etc. Well, that concludes today's video. I hope you found it useful. Join us next time when we will talk about using smart objects inside of your process. Thank you very much.